One day I asked one of my indigenous friends, "What is God for you?" And the response was, "The heart of the land, the heart of the sky." The heart of the land, the heart of the sky. I was born in Tijuana in the 70s, and I grew up speaking Spanish, but with strong influence in English. My first English teacher was Lucille Ball. But my pronunciation teacher was Ricky Ricardo. I grew up with a strong cultural influence from America while keeping my identity as a Mexican. We always had relatives in the US, so we often traveled back and forth. I grew up Catholic on both my father's side and my mother's side. And since I was a little boy, I always wanted to learn more about God. Asking that question, what is God for you? And what is purpose in life? I eventually applied to law school at Jesuit University in Tijuana. Why law school? Well, I'm going to be honest. I was a little sick and tired of math and physics. My passion was history, sociology, philosophy, all the humanities. So I wanted to study something like that. But at the same time, I was aware that philosophy or sociology or history, they were not like, how do you say, profitable? At least not in Mexico. Ultimately, I wanted to be a lawyer to help others, so I applied to law school. And I remember that I was doing, in every Jesuit school, all over the place, we have to do, here it's called pro bono, but in Mexico it's called social service. So you have to do some volunteer work in order to obtain your degree, in addition to, of course, the good grades, the pizzas, etc., etc. So I remember that my girlfriend at the time, we used to volunteer in a house that worked with drug addicts. So we were basically doing fundraising projects in a very low-income neighborhood. I started to do more volunteer work and think more about my spirituality. Then I came to learn about the Jesuits. I remember I had an uncle who was a Jesuit, and I went to Guadalajara to visit him when I was like 16 years old. And it really impacted me, the way the Jesuits lived with the poor people. I started to work with a law firm when I was a student, in a corporate law firm. I was happy there. The work I was doing was more about tax law, contracts, labor law. I could not handle labor law because I was always representing the companies. And it was very difficult for me to see the injustices there. The companies, they would prefer to pay the lawyers, I mean me, or the law firm I was working with, a good compensation, instead of paying a good compensation to the workers. Most of our clients were people that were working in the maquiladoras, the factories. After a while, we were done with the social service, and the relationship with my girlfriend was over. So I started to get more involved with the volunteer work. But at the same time, having fun as a law student, my friends, going to Ensenada, to San Diego, drinking, whatever. I was a student, as a human. I was not a saint. Eventually, I graduated, and I kept working at this law firm. I remember one day, it was an afternoon, it was a Saturday, and I was working on some contracts, and I said to myself, I am not going to be here all my life, sitting at this desk, in a beautiful building, in a nice office, generating more money for capitalism. This didn't make sense to me. I wanted something in my life that gave me a rich experience, something that can give me life purpose, something that can be rich in a rewarding experience. I didn't want to keep working in a law firm with all my friends. They didn't have a problem with that kind of work. I think I was the only one. I was like 23 years old, very young to be a lawyer, generating good income. I was still living in my family, so all the money was for me. But it wasn't enough, buying suits in nice stores and all of that. And I said, I need to try something different. What is God for you? When I was with the drug addicts, with the people, I felt more fulfilled working directly with the people and with the drug addicts. At the time, it was not clear I had an option for justice or for the poor, but I had something, a feeling. And I remember I was reading a magazine of the Jesuits because I had a strong connection with the Jesuits for a long time. And I remember I read a story of a Jesuit who was a clown in France. This Jesuit was traveling with the circus in different parts of the world. So the point was, well, I don't need to be a lawyer in this particular congregation, in this order, in this religious order. I can still be a lawyer and serve others. So I decided to apply. And apply. What we call the pre-novitiate, which is the state before joining the Jesuits. It's basically going to work in some projects for Jesuits. So I went to, I did my spiritual exercises. I had a very good experience there. And finally, it was clear to me that my option was this one, to the religious life. And at the time, I was very young, and I didn't have nothing to lose, so you know what I'm saying. I mean, I still had a house. But my family, I was young. I think it would be a problem if I say, okay, let's leave. Hey, that's not for me, but at least I tried. So I said, I need to try. And I had a conversation with my friends, and I said, well, if this doesn't work out, I'll return with you guys. And they said, oh, yeah, welcome back. We'll bring you back to the firm, whatever. So I went. And finally, I was sent to work in a parish in Mexico City, in a very important neighborhood, with gangs and all that. It was another world for me. Everybody in my life was very supportive of my decision. My Jesuit uncle, who was a great influence on me. And some of my friends, and my family, little by little. It took a while for my mom to realize that I would, because I'm the oldest, I'm the only man. So, well, Mexicans have strong traditions. So yeah, it wasn't easy in the beginning. The argument my mother was, hey, well, you can still do a lot of things here in KJ. You can still have people here. She didn't get it in the beginning. Of course, now, she's very happy. But it wasn't that easy in the beginning, huh? What is God for you? I eventually went to Oaxaca to give some workshops. I remember I didn't know anything about pedagogy. Had to teach, or I was very technical. Explaining to the poor people, to the campesinos, how to defend themselves, legally speaking. They didn't understand nothing because I spoke in an elevated language. And then, with the help of some lawyers, I started to learn about the teaching methods, how to communicate in their language. And I became very interested in education, in popular education. And after I finished my experience, my decision was, well, should I enter the Jesuits or should I stay here? I mean, I feel very happy working in this environment, helping people in this way, I can be a lawyer and I can have a life here. I mean, I'm not going to be rich. I'm aware of that. But at least I can live a modest way, helping these people. But also, I felt a very strong spiritual call that was related to my religious beliefs in Jesus, into following Him. And also, I thought that at the time I was, I'm meeting very nice people, other guys like me wanted to join one particular project with the mission to promote faith and justice. What is God for you? I decided to enter and join the Jesuits. I did my novitiate in a small town very close to Guadalajara. I used to work every weekend in a small ranch. We used to study Monday to Friday, and Saturdays and Sundays we used to go to the small ranch to teach catecism, to organize the communities. And I started to get more involved in pastoral ministries and more involved in real people's lives. They were farmers And in the farm, they had a lot of cows, and they would make cheese. I used to go with the families there and eat whatever they, we didn't have no more money. In the Novitiate, they give you money for the bus. And then no more money. So you need to go to the houses, you go there, and the people, in those communities, they're very generous. They give you beans or whatever they have on the table. And they will share with you with no problem. I had a very nice experience there. And it was there. I realized I wanted to be a man who served a community. And that was, for me, the call that I still have today. I was 24 years old. I decided to take the vows. Poverty, chastity, and obedience. And then went to do my master's in social philosophy. In Mexico, it's very important to have an apostolate. It's not a full-time job, but you need to do something, not only study. So I decided to go to the NGO that is called CIRIO. Centro de Reflexión y Accesión Laboral. Center of Reflection and Labor Action. We were working with workers. I used to work in factories. I was practicing my profession as a lawyer, but I was always able to defend workers and the other side, finally. That was very touching and a very profound experience for me. When I was ordained as a priest, I was sent to the Human Rights Center in Central Road in Mexico City. I went to the Human Rights Center because I was a lawyer. And at the time, I had a good deal of experience in human rights. This coincided with a very difficult political context in Mexico. In 2006, I remember there was a huge repression in the community that was called Anteco, where several people were killed and tortured. Some women were raped by the police officers. So suddenly, I was appointed as director of the center. And I decided to prioritize paradigmatic cases. That means cases that will have a strong and lasting impact in public policy. A case I remember was a case of Doña Conchi. Doña Conchi was a poor woman that was giving food to the migrants who used to come across the country from Honduras, and Nicaragua, and El Salvador, all through Mexico, and by train. They used to go on the train, not inside the train, on top of the train. It was very dangerous. They were trying to get to Nogales or Mexicali or to Reynosa, some of the cities that are close to the U.S. border so they can cross. It's hell crossing them, crossing Mexico. Worse than crossing the border. Mexico is huge. It's a big country, and they cannot travel because they will get detained by the police. So the only option they have is on top of the trains. So this lady, Doña Conchi, would give food to the migrants. And finally, one day, she was detained. And she was accused of infractions of general population law, basically human trafficking. We took the case. And we won the case, and we got her out of jail. Finally, the Supreme Court ruled that it was not a crime giving food to the migrants. What is God for you? I think it was my vocation, our vocation, against the culture. We used to learn since in school that you need to be successful. And it's important things being successful, have a nice house, have a nice car, but our vocation is kind of different because we don't believe in those values. They are not values for us, actually. They are more criteria of the world, and sometimes it's not easy to deal with that. Here, Latin American culture, or in the Mexican too, it's almost the same. I really believe in a more fraternal society as a whole. It's a strong motivation. And I think for me, my call is to believe that the law is a powerful instrument of social transformation. What is God for me? To this day, I try to be faithful of my own convictions, of my own life project, and respond with the generosity of God to serve to this mission as a Jesuit and to be happy serving others.